Board games, it's what I'm talking about, and I'm answering anything, but I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing, and again, as I'm going to sing, today you can ask me anything. And if you are watching this after the fact, then ask me anything in the comments below and I'll ask them for a future episode that I will enact. Ask me anything, it's what I'm chatting about. There's a whole bunch of questions and I'm not gonna shout. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope that you're generally well. And today it's 10 a.m. UK time, which means it's time for another episode of Busy Beats and Board Game Blether. And I hope you're well. I hope that you're having a good day. I hope that you're enjoying life. What's going on here is that I asked a while back people on Twitter, hey, would you like to ask me stuff? And I promised to answer all these things. But I was expecting to answer them while I was sick, and parts of the reason that I asked people was because I had COVID and I thought it would be something to do, but then I didn't have the energy to answer all the questions while I did that, and then I felt a bit bad about it, but I'm going to, do that later today, and, I wanted to kind of look vaguely presentable rather than being my unwashed self for like 3 days. While you're sick, getting yourself washed regularly, even though it's something that you should be doing, it doesn't happen all the time. Anyway, ask me anything. That is what today is all about. But first of all, and one thing I should say, I'm going to answer any questions that were asked on that Twitter thread. I'm also going to answer any questions that come during this show live. If you are watching this after the fact, if you want to ask me anything more, please just list the questions. And, if I get a bunch of questions, then I will answer them at some point in the future, in a future episode, But, yeah, for sure, that's it. First of all, let's go for recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. Let's talk about recent highlights. Well, yesterday, and hello, Bones John, I hope that you're generally well. Yes, I did have considering the situation, considering that I had COVID, my Christmas was good. I unfortunately couldn't go to see family, which was incredibly disappointing, but I was playing a lot of Board Game Arena, and that kept me occupied, and someone lent me, access so I could watch a whole bunch of films. So at least I was entertained. At least, I had a roof and a room on my own, and I had lots of tinned curries to eat, and yeah, thank you very much. I'm still kind of recovering, and so I was able to go out before New Year's, and the place that I planned to go, which was in the centre of a park, from which you can see the London fireworks, they'd closed it because they were worried that so many people would gather in the park that they might have a party. So there were police roaming around, and you can't go into the park. No, you need to. And so instead, a lot of people gathered at the entrance, which was probably one of the best places near here to be able to see, the river and the fireworks that were going to go up. And yeah, the fireworks were nice. There were good fireworks. And then I wandered around, and then there's a bit of saying, "Oh, Happy New Year," and then people say Happy New Year back to you, and then you say it, and then for maybe 5 days, people are saying Happy New Year. But now at this point, if you say Happy New Year, then people just look at you as if you're weird, which you kind of are. I mean, it's not normal, but it's a shame that I can't now. If I say hello to people, they don't say hello back, and now it's gone back to normal. Um, yeah, a few days I was kind of running an informal experiment where I said hello to like 20 people, and I think two of them said hello back. Whereas, yeah, I also said Happy New Year to 5 people, and they all looked at me weird. Like, there's nothing to say anyway. And yeah, all the people after New Year, it was like, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Like, everyone's so cheery and the spirits are rising, and that was wonderful. But yes, I'm glad that even though I wasn't able to really engage in any festivities, even though I couldn't go to the top of the hill and get a great view, I saw people and someone gave me a sparkler, which was lovely of them. And, I just had brief encounters, which are enough to say, I'm human, you're human as well. And there's a shared humanity. Do you know what I mean? Bones John says, oh, who likes normal? Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, London is quite cold at times. Let's talk a wee bit more about recent highlights. What have been some of your recent highlights? Let me share some of mine. So yesterday, I went to Playtest 2K. I always go on Friday if I can. I mean, assuming that I'm relatively healthy, assuming that I'm in London, I will be going to Friday daytime playtest at Royal Festival Hall. Feel free to join us if you're in London. Or if you're outside London, sometimes people take a trip in. We gather at 10, we have a conversation, and then we start playing something at 11. Yesterday, one of the games we played was this, Postcards from Home by Ellie Dix, a lovely game about moving your little characters around, gathering icons and set collection. And one really interesting thing is that each character had one of the 5 icons already. So you have access to a wild card of this icon. It's not like a blue stag that my character is the black orange ginger person, and you can see that their icon is sunshine, and you've got like a wild card. So if you gather a country, that might give you green sunshine or yellow sunshine or purple or red or blue sunshine, depending on the continent. But then, yeah, that helps you get the cards that you're trying to get, like the achievements for once you've collected a whole bunch of sets. And yeah, there's something really interesting going on. It didn't work at all, but because of 4-player, 3-player dynamic, too many cards taken, too much blocking, but something really interesting going on here. And congratulations, Ellie Dix. This is another game. This is also a picture of Ellie Dix, who's listening carefully to the feedback that's been given. We've just finished our game of Old Biddy, which is a fantastic auction game. I am biased because I really enjoy auction games, but it's not enough for me to have an auction game that's just auctions and that's it. It doesn't mean that that was my favorite part of Monopoly. That was the part that I actually really enjoyed, the auctions. But then you've got high society, where the person who bids the most loses, and you've got to bid in fixed currency, which is really interesting. You've got Gavin Birnbaum's QE, where you can write any number you want, and the person who bids the most, loses that. That's really interesting. And Ellie Dix has an auction game with a similarly experimental twist. I've not seen it before, and this is definitely one to watch out for. Ellie Dix, great designer. And hello, Dutch Yoda. It is lovely to see you. And I hope that you're generally well. Just talking about recent highlights, feel free to share your own. Bones John says, my highlight was a friend emailed me a gift voucher and for a website that sells board games for Christmas. So I'm wondering whether to put Rummikub or Tubby Rub, as I call it, or 2 Similo packs. I have not yet played Similo, so I cannot advise you. But if that is entirely up to you. Anyway, and thank you for the compliment, Bones John, who says, I love hearing you talk about board games. You sound so passionate. 2 of my own games. These are actually pictures from a week ago, but these are the same games that I played yesterday. So firstly, this is no longer just with playing cards. So last week, I had an idea for a game that's kind of like Rummy. You're making sets, and your sets can either be a run or it can be multiple things of a particular number. And then once you've made that, then you bank them. And at the end of the game, what you're trying to do is you're trying to have banked things that help you make sets again. So it was about making sets in order to make sets, if you see what I mean. Now, I changed a few things. I changed the card count to make it a lot more likely that you'll be able to make sets, to make it a bit easier. And then it's very much a drafting game, taking cards. I introduced some hidden information, which some people felt wasn't enough. Like maybe I should take more inspiration from Seven Wonders Duel. But yeah, having 2 rounds, having a bit more information helped make it work well. This other game is a game about grabbing items, quite banal items just now: a wire, a jumper, laptop, bread, cat, old socks, book, there's a cushion, all sorts of things, tomato, fried egg, and then you're trying to grab the item that best matches the qualities that the judge turns over. It's kind of like apples to apples on speed. So the judge flips over a bunch of things and then he puts it over. Last week, some people said, oh, this is too subjective. We don't like the quality smelly. Smelly, oh, what does that even mean? And so it went back to red, food and drink. And what was the last one? My gosh. Round. Yes, that was the third one. And these are things that are fairly easy to define, and it made it a lot more objective. It made it more of a speed game. It made it more of a, okay, I'm going to quickly process this. Now, as I went home, I was thinking, maybe I should explore the discussion, because there was one player at the table of myself and 3 others. 2 of them didn't like the idea of the discussion, but they were both very gamery people. The other person, David Brain, who's, I think, embodies like the whimsical nature of children a little bit better, even though David does design like key markets and very incredibly complex games with really interesting systems going on sometimes. But anyway, David said, I really like the discussion. That's what I like, the judge and discussing whether a sock is round or not, because I was enjoying making my arguments for why an old sock is round. So I thought, maybe I should lean into this. So I changed the categories. I brought back smelly. I changed red for being colorful. And then I put in expensive. And yeah, I'm going, and so this discussion variant, it seems to be definitely an interesting thing, but I'm going to decide which way to go down: the subjective route, in which case I need to push further into that, or the objective route, in which case I need to lean further into that. And I'm genuinely not sure at this point. That was something that I tested. I also tested a couple of things that are not pictured: Shoutable, an LDEC game, a game that I haven't, one game that I haven't given a name, which is inspired by Between Two Cities. It was for 4 players, but I think 3 players might be the maximum, where you're collecting cards and cooperating. But yeah, generally, yesterday was a brilliant day. It was just fantastic. I always love playtesting. I always love Fridays. It's a good day. And then, honestly, coming home, it was like, yeah, now not much is going on. That's a bit sad. I'm a bit tired. I'm just going to watch stuff and go to sleep. And I ended up from like 7 until 10 just watching stuff before I went to bed. But yeah, those were my recent highlights. Again, feel free to share yours. Otherwise, let's talk about, say, brilliant thing. What's the little thing which is brilliant? I'm going to say that prototyping and playtesting. For me, I love playtesting. I love getting that reaction. I love going in and seeing someone else's creation. I love seeing, oh, David Brain made this 5X game, or oh, this is a new idea from LA Dix where it's rolling right but you pass things around. Oh, that's really cool. And I really like seeing these things. For my own stuff, I love having this idea of how it will go and then putting it in front of people. And for me, that's the execution, that's the moment of truth. Will it happen? Will it come together nicely? Will there be a problem? And I don't know. And, it's not that if it goes well, it's going to go well for everyone. I mean, a playtest is still just one playthrough of a game. And so you can't take that as a truism. If people have an issue, if everyone at the table has an issue with it, you need to decide for yourself. Does that mean that it's an issue with the game, that it's an advertising issue with the game, that like the game didn't declare what it was? Does it mean that they just aren't within the target audience and are giving bad feedback? And whether it's one of those three things or something else, but there's like data and it's so exciting, and yeah, just love that interaction with people and seeing how people engage with something that I made. And so that is the brilliant thing. And Bones John says, I got invited to a biker gang's curry night. Wow, that is, that feels like a story that I want to hear more about. But yeah, what do you mean by a biker gang? And do they have curry every night? Does that mean that you're now... What did you do to get invited? And does that mean that you've got a permanent invitation? Can you go? But yeah, wow. That does sound like a brilliant thing as well, being invited to things. And speaking of invitations, if anyone is in the neighbourhood anytime, if you're ever passing through England or if you already live in England, come to London on a Friday daytime and join us at Royal Festival Hall. So, from now on, as always, feel free to comment, ask questions, and follow. If you have any questions, whether it's questionably quick or something that's a bit more involved, if it's something that feels like, oh, this should be an entire episode, then I might make an entire episode about it. So feel free to ask anything that you want, and I will answer it in some manner, as long as it's a respectful question, which I know everyone here is generally respectful. So let me go to the questions that I got a while back on Twitter. Firstly, from Carl at N20 Games. Carl says, if you won a ticket on a SpaceX flight into space, would you go? I mean, yes, I would. I might have questions about whether it's reasonable for people to be going on these things, and it feels slightly icky to be using so many resources, and the amount of fuel used in launching a rocket, that feels wrong. But if I don't go onto that, it's not like they're just going to cancel the flight because of me. It's not as if me going or not going is going to persuade a multimillionaire to go or not go. So yes, if I won the ticket, assuming that my costs were paid and I was going to be flown from London to to America, like to wherever it is, and then flown back, yeah, I would go 100%. I think I would be excited. I like trying new things. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Going back to the previous story, Bones John says, my friend goes to church and is part of a Christian biker gang called the Knights of Antioch. Monty Python reference. They have a homemade curry once a month at their church, and I got an invite the last 2 months. That sounds delightful. And so, sounds like you are an honorary member. That sounds fantastic. This is a question from Ross, More Games Please, who says, what song or album has brought a smile to your face this year? And I didn't answer this already because there's so many answers that I could give. I think this year, although it's quite hard sometimes to tell 2020 and 2021 apart because it felt like much of a muchness. But yeah, I got really into Lorde, and Actually, when did Lord's new album come out? Lord, Solar Power, Wikipedia. I do apologize, but it came out, 2021. Okay, yes, it was this year. There we go. So I was reading something on Facebook where someone talks about, oh yes, every year for my birthday, I listen to something until I get sick of it. And I asked them, okay, well, which of yours has been your favorite album? I mean, that sounds like, I'm going to listen to whichever one they recommend. And they suggested Pure Heroine by Lord, and I listened to it quite a few times, and it is really catchy. It gets me going, and biking around, listening to it, it made me smile. And then I started listening to the Solar Power because just after I'd gotten into it, there was the single released, and it was, wow, this is such a good song. And yeah, I remember actually now going to UK Games Expo, and I was discussing this with Jason, and I felt like there were a couple of really interesting things. One was the fact that 50% of the album had lyrics constantly, and then the rest of it was just basically an instrumental. And that was really interesting. I mean, it's a rarity among songs. And the other thing was a line, which is, I'm kind of like Prettier Jesus, which is the thing which is what got the Beatles into trouble. And it's obviously not meant to be taken too literally. There is a bit of tongue in cheek, but then that album, when that came out, that was just joyful. But the one that I'm going to actually put as my number one is Making a Move, or Making a Move, because there's a little apostrophe on to replace the G. So Making a Move by Lady Bree. This is a 27-minute album, I believe, and from the start, it goes, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce me. And like that sense of positivity, that sense of triumph, that sense of confidence permeates throughout the entire album. And it's a brilliant getting ready album. This is a brilliant album for if you're cycling and you want some energy, or if you're getting ready in the morning. And I almost ended up listening to this. I wish that Spotify could tell you how many times you've listened to it, but I mean, yeah, I've listened to it tens and tens of times. Like when I'm having a bath, getting ready, it's like do. And if I'm not in the mood to listen to a podcast, this will be the thing going on. I know what's going on, and it starts with so much energy, and then it goes into a sort of gospel song at one point, talking about just moving and taking control of yourself, and then the last two songs, I would say the penultimate song is kind of a song of standing up against adversity. It says, I will stand up, I will not fall. And it's a slow thing, but it's building triumph and it's building confidence. And then the final thing is just, you're beautiful. And just a full album full of positivity, feel good messages. Lady Bree, Making a Move. It's a pink cover, but it's really, really good. Bones John says the SpaceX flight sounds interesting, and a couple of albums. Shia's Candy Cane Lane really made me smile over Christmas. I have not listened to that, and I'm not sure if I've listened to the Foo Fighters' newest album either. Do you mean their latest one? I will definitely check them out at some point. But thank you for the recommendation. And okay, this is a question. What are you most looking forward to in 2022? Who asked that? Here we go. This is David Murcutt. Oh, this is something that I've already answered on Twitter, but yeah, just to reiterate, if I manage to get Categorical actually done, that moment when it is done, when I am sending it out, the moment when I take either when it's shipped from Poland and people start telling me that they've received it, or when I take a big bag of them over to the post office, prepaid, and then I just leave it at the post office and the post office sends them off. That moment when I see it, when I open up the box, that categorical, it has been a really, really problematic thing. Basically, Fabrica Cards is not communicating with me very much. LEDix has given me the information for a British printer, which might be able to deliver just the boxes, and then I could potentially assemble the boxes and the cards myself, which won't be that big a deal because just putting the cards and the paper into is, yeah, it's not that big a deal. But yeah, it's possible that I might have to go to China and then deal with the logistics of that, but I'm not enjoying that process. But I'm looking forward to having done it, having achieved it. The other thing that I would say is just conventions in general. Looking forward to, fingers crossed, I might be able to go to Cannes. I'm looking forward to the London Toy Fair, going there, which will be open again, fingers crossed. Checking it out, seeing all the new stuff, walking around. I'll maybe take a picture from inside. I might do like a 5-minute stream from inside on Tuesday when it opens in a week and a half. I'm looking forward to UK Games Expo and Aircon being back to normal and having a big stand at UK Games Expo, and fingers crossed I can have loads of helpers showing off stuff and bringing people in and selling stuff and running events. And I just love every UK Games Expo I've been to, except for the last one. I mean, except for the digital ones, every physical one has just been wonderful. Bones says, I am really looking forward to progressing from gold level to platinum level in Rocket League. Sorry, it's not board game related. No apologies needed. This is about more than just board games. This is about life. And yeah, that's very reasonable. And if anyone else wants to answer these questions, what are you looking forward to in 2022? Let me know. The next question is from Panda Angel. Let me double check. Yes, Amanda Panda. Panda 8 Angel. Amanda Panda asks, what's your comfort food? And I had to think about this. The truth is, my comfort food is instant noodles, maybe with an egg dropped in, maybe with a little bit of added vinegar, possibly just the instant noodles. And my favorite brand is currently still Dema Ramen. It's quick to make, it's easy, it's got like a lot of water. I know there's sugar in it, I know there's not loads of vitamins, but it's got the carbs, it's got the water, and it just feels really filling. It feels kind of wholesome. And yeah, just if I'm feeling a bit off, just kind of cuddling up and like wrapping myself up in blankets, I could have like a few bowls of that and just be happy as a clam. And Bones John says, my comfort food is chicken tikka pathia. That's really interesting. Yeah, while I was sick, I wasn't wanting to have instant noodles all the time. I wanted to have a little bit more nutrients going on. So what I did is I got loads of tinned curries. And so I've been working through all the tinned curries. There's still, I think, 5 to go. But very soon I will have had probably all the tinned curries that are easily available in London. And then I'll, at some point, do a sort of review of all the tinned curries and, yeah, in order of how favorite they are, how much I like them. But yeah, for me, comfort food has to be easy to make, stuff that I can have on hand. So I don't normally have bread, and like I really like chocolate spread, but that's kind of too sugary, that's too sweet. Something that I can just eat loads of and just keep eating. And okay, maybe it's got a bit of added sugar, but I don't feel super guilty about it if I have like 4 bowls of instant noodles. It's not like, oh, I'm overloading myself ridiculously with sugar. There's some really interesting question from Isa at it's Isa. It's Isa. Um, Let me actually. Do you think we'll ever see Eurogames acknowledge their colonialism and move away from it? So wow, I think that it's already started. I think that people are already moving in that direction. And I think that, people are acknowledging that Puerto Rico, even though it's brilliant from a game design perspective, it's incredibly problematic. And I think that more and more people are becoming aware of this. I think it is going to become a gradual shift. I think there will always be bad actors. I mean, we've had board games created by Nazis that are trying to spread hatred. We've even recently, even in the past 10 years, we've had some board games that are actually trying to spread a message of hatred, which is horrible because there are horrible people in the universe, in the world. But I do think that as time goes on, we are seeing games get better and better about understanding the responsibility. Things like I want to say the Zenobia Awards, which is all about promoting historical games that are not necessarily about conflicts, but might be about women's suffrage or about, the development of certain. It could be about anything in history, and on we've had Spirits Island, although it's a shame that we've not had more things like Spirits Island, but this is an anti-colonialist game, which is really fantastic. And I think that there will be more and more of a push towards, social responsibility and awareness of the fact that games not only entertain, but also educate and shape minds and shape behavior. Yeah, I don't think it will ever get down to zero. I don't think anything will ever be perfect, but I strongly believe and strongly hope that things will continue to improve. That is my answer. Morning, CD. I am answering all the questions today. I'm on about halfway through answering a load of questions from Twitter, and if you have any questions, then feel free to ask. And if you've got any answers to any of these questions, if you want to chime in, then please do so. And hello, Oglor, thank you for following. I do appreciate it. And Bones John says, maybe it would be healthier if everyone just played Thunderbirds, the cooperative board game. I mean, this is funny because, yeah, Matt Leacock, an amazing designer. I've met them. They're both super talented. And like the time that I met them, I was like trying to contain my like fangirl. Like I was, and then Matt Leacock ended up playing Phrasal, one of the LDEC games, and gave me a really nice suggestion, which was to sometimes split up the cards. And Oglor has a question that I think you might have to give a little bit more background to. What do you think of midichlorians in the postmodernist socio-economic climate? Midichlorians. Let me look at Do you mean midichlorians? Do you mean the Star Wars thing? I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah, if you I think you'll have to explain what you mean. I just might yeah, when I search for midichlorians, it just says there aren't any things, and then it redirects on Google to midichlorians. CD says, how did the playtest go? Yesterday it went brilliantly. Yeah, it's always fun. It's always good fun. I'm not going to reiterate everything that I chatted about, but Ellie Dix always makes great stuff. Playtested a couple of games of mine, and yeah, just Ellie's always lovely. We had 3 new faces, and the new faces were just there to share their things. Although one of them, I had a good discussion with them about this game about peacekeeping, which was really interesting. And yeah, it was really good. I always enjoy Friday daytime playtests. Um, but yeah, Oglor, if you want to ask things, then you'll have to give a wee bit more background. I've got another question from Twitter, which is, what's the story about a gift you were delighted to give? From Chip Roosh. And this is a question that I hadn't answered because, to be honest, I couldn't think of one. I think that I can think of times when actually, you know what? The first thing that comes to my mind right now is for my friend Laura Wood, and I bought these tiny little canvases. They're literally about this size, so they were, I think, from the pound shop, and I got like, it might have been like £2, but they were fairly cheap, and got like 4 of them for £2, and they were tiny things, basically smaller than the palm of your hand. And on this little thing, I just did a bit of painting with watercolor, just a lovely message, and I just felt like having something bright and colorful and something that puts in, and this is, hey, that's that, but a gift that you're delighted to give, to me, suggests, oh, I know that they'll like this. This is the perfect thing. And I can't really think of any time where I've been able to think of the perfect thing for someone else, which is a bit sad. I think that, you know what, maybe cooking, because even though this isn't a big occasion, when I have people over and I'm able to cook for them, and, you know, McCall comes over, McCall is vegan, and so I do take care, like I check the Worcester sauce, which I can't use because it's got fish bits in the Worcester sauce, and, you know, you've got to be careful with all these things. And then actually just on Thursday there was some vegan chocolate, and it wasn't really a gift, it was more, hey, McCall, we'll be able to share this together, and like the gift of the cooking, like it was a stir fry, and she was like, oh, this is really lovely. And, you know, I really enjoy cooking because then when you've got someone in mind that isn't just you, to me, that definitely makes cooking a bit more enjoyable. When it's just me, I often don't have the energy. So I think that, yes, you know, my final answer is just going to be every single time that I have people over, whether I do a stir fry, whether I do a stew, cooking, that is the gift that I'm delighted to give. And Stream Elements reminds me to stretch, so I am going to take that advice and go, oh, a bit stiff over on this side. Okay, but yes. Next question. Let's check my banners. Yes, now we get into the questions that I have already answered, so these will probably be a lot quicker. Can you think of any games that are more enjoyable to lose than to win? And this question was from David Murcott. And the answer to that was basically no. I believe that, yes, sure, some RPGs are more enjoyable when you die, and that sense of character failure can be enjoyable to you as a player. But any sense of lose or failure as a player is a sense of dissatisfaction. I would say that for sure, there's always a certain joy when you know what mistakes you've made. Because when you know the mistakes you've made, that means that you are able to think about, okay, how do I do things differently next time? That's what's okay. Next time I'm going to do that and that. And this gives you a sense of improvements, which is part of a big joy of games. But all things being equal, I would say that If you lose, that has the potential for eventual triumph. Like if you make the mistakes, but then eventually get a better score and then eventually win. So sure, I'm not saying that you want to win a game every single time, but then winning, that has the satisfaction, that has a lot of emotions that you, as well as all the other stuff. And when it comes to role-playing games, what is winning? I would say that for a player, winning is actually the notion of having lots of, like, having made a good story, if that makes sense. And so, yes, I would basically say no. There are games that are equally fun. There are games that are fun no matter what. There are games where, because you lost, the eventually winning can become more satisfactory. But I could not think of a game that is more enjoyable to lose than to win. If you can think of anything, then please let me know. Um, and John, thank you. Firstly, thank you for the little bits of information about the previous question. And secondly, I enjoy losing Simulo. If I won every game, I would lose interest in it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I understand you enjoy losing as an eventual path to the victory, but still, you want to win sometimes. Like if you, those games that you do win are still the most enjoyable ones, right? CD suggests Twister. Ah, I mean, maybe I'm just competitive. I really enjoy aiming to win Twister. If I'm playing Twister, I really want to try and do well. Um, there's, again, it might be that it's almost equally as fun, but is it more fun to lose? No. If anything, I'm going to have the triumph of, yes, I managed to win. As long as everyone else is happy to play again. And yeah, that's it. Like, I do want other people to win enough that they keep wanting to play, obviously. But yeah, I'm very competitive. Um, oh, and talking of Twister, Bones John says, I love Twister the film, but was so disappointed that the game had no part in the film. Fair enough. Oh, a question from Polly Turner. What's your favourite dish? And for this answer, I say Choresh de Bodem Jun. I still stand by that. And here is a picture from Wikipedia that shows Choresh de Bodem Jun. This, so it's lamb with tomatoes. You might have dried lime in it, and those things are horizontally sliced aubergines. They've got to be slow fried for a long time before they're placed lovingly at the top of the stew. The stew is cooked separately, with the onions should be crispy and fried slowly, and then you put in the lamb and the tomatoes, and lots of tomatoes and a bit of citrusy flavor from the dried lime, and then you lay out the aubergines on top. And here they've served it with, it looks like plain rice and some yogurt with mint on it. But traditionally, if you want to make it super fancy, you might have a tiny bit of saffron in that rice, and you might have cucumbers in the yogurt. And normally I would put the rice under. You wouldn't. Like most Iranians, this is kind of how they sometimes do it in a restaurant or something. But normally, if you go to someone's house, they'll put down the rice and then put the stew on top. This isn't like a good way to do it. Sorry. Like, you want to have the rice on the bottom and then the stew on top, because then the stew, the flavor seep into the rice, and then the rice becomes delicious, and it's kind of becomes like one big dish. Anyway, this is my favorite dish. And hello, Elaine. It is lovely to see you, and I hope that you're generally well. Elaine says the food looks amazing. Bones John says, "Oh my days, that food looks amazing." And yes, that is the answer to that question. We've got a new question from Elaine, who says, sorry if we've had this before, no apologies needed. And if I had that before, either I would say it very quickly, or I would decline, or if it's like an inappropriate question, worst case scenario, I decline to answer. Or I kind of, if it's, from a name that I've never met, I kind of wonder, is this person just randomly trolling me? Maybe they are, because it's not like this is a Star Wars show or anything. Anyway, Elaine asks, if you had decided not to be a board game designer, is there another type of job you would have liked to have explored? Interesting question. Thing that comes to my mind, musician. I really like performing. I do also like dancing. I did a bit of pole dancing. And potentially some jobs that might be inappropriate for this channel, but really, when I talk about the pole dance, my favorites, I did a couple of performances. One was to the tune of Dog-Faced Boy by the Eels, and the other was to the tune of Je ne regrette rien by Edith Piaf. Non, rien de rien, non, je ne regrette rien, ni les bien comme m'a fait, ni la main, tout ça bien égal. So it was a kind of a couples thing, myself and another pole dancer, and I'd done a lot of the choreography, although we'd worked together on it, and each part of the thing, what I was really proud of, is that we alternated the focal points. I know it sounds like a weird thing to be proud of, but in a lot of pole dance, like synchronized pole dancing, if you want to be super synchronized, everyone doing the same thing at the same time, it removes the triumph from one individual. You don't get your moments in the spotlight. And that's what I'm all about, having my moments in the spotlight. I mean, I stream, I enjoy standing up at conventions and showing. Anyway, but so we'd have like one person start to move and like a particular pose as they're spinning, and then the next person do a particular pose and move as they're spinning, and then this person would do a change and keep spinning, and then and it flowed really well into one another. So we were kind of alternating, but then there were also bits of interaction where I was kind of leaning back, and then, Jamie kind of did a little tap on the shoulder and brought me to life, and there was interaction before we got onto the poles, and there was, all sorts of things going on. Anyway, having said all that, I think that that amount of performance, I would like to mix dance and music and performance. I love improvised music. I love I used to, and hello Timmy, it is lovely to see you, and sorry, Timmy says electricity's gone where she is, but lots of love. I just love playing music. I used to play at every open mic night on Mondays, where I'd get to play a couple of songs, and also I'd have my own little gig at Pivo Pivo once a month, and also Spangled Cabaret once a month. And also I started playing with the Glam Bangers, which were a punk rock band where I was doing drums and sometimes trumpet, and I was playing with Brass Eye, a lot of trumpet, and then I was generally playing piano when I was doing solo stuff, and I played piano for the Balladeers, which was a kind of indie rock with heavy inspiration from Scottish folk music. That's the best way to describe it. And one of my favorite memories is standing up. Oh, sorry, it's not about what's my favorite dish anymore. This is all about this. So one of my favorite memories is standing up in front of, maybe it was close to 1,000 people for sure, and great crowd, myself and 4 others, and just bringing joy to their life with music, and people on like a big lawn. It was called Doon the Rabbit Hole, I think. Yeah, and being part of that festival, sure, it feels even better when it's primarily me, but also with, myself and Gavin and Jackson and Rory. There were like one vocalist, guitarist, one bass guitarist, one drummer, and myself on keys. And yeah, we kind of pushed each other to greater heights and we did good stuff. And so, yeah, that would definitely be, I feel like that would be what I would really have pursued if I didn't have board games in my life. I probably would have gone there. The other option is illustration because that's kind of a passion. Like I enjoy doing all the wee whimsical creatures, but the difference is with illustration, the truth is I enjoy I enjoy the end result. I enjoy having drawn the things. I enjoy seeing people engage with the things that I've drawn. I only draw things on prototype cards so that they can then be played. I prefer drawing things on prototype cards to dragging in clip art and dealing with computers for sure. I don't mind it, but it's not like, yeah, I get to draw today. It's like, yeah, I've done it. I feel satisfied. Whereas with music, I take so much joy in it. It's like every performance, like it feels like that level of performance, that level of one-to-one interaction and creativity. And I'm thank you very much, Elaine, who says, wow, I didn't know you played in so many bands and played so many instruments. Bones John says, I went through a phase of listening to so much jazz, but I struggle to find anyone as passionate about jazz as I was. I mean, but passions don't have to be always shared. I mean, I understand that you want to share these passions, you want to have communication, you want to be able to talk about these things, to develop language about it. And, you know, things like Jeff Engelstein and Isaac Shalev, who wrote a book, Building Blocks of Tabletop Game Design, great book, and are coming out with a second edition. I heartily recommend it. It is a bit pricey. It is an academic book. It's like 50 quid, but it's currently like the full price is going to be 60. So like I would recommend anyone who is able to afford 40, 50 quid to go and order it. Genuinely, it's possibly the best book about board game designers or for people who are really, really super into board games. But yeah, developing a passion, but then you can do it remotely. Maybe you can find an internet group that's really all about jazz. I mean, I'm sure there's Discord groups and all sorts of internet sites, and maybe there's a meetup group for jazz. I don't know. You know, like live music is not like a really big thing, but because of the pandemic and still we're in the, it feels like we're towards the end of the pandemic, but it's still ongoing. But yeah, I hope you manage to find people. Would it be possible for you to write the title of that book, Building Blocks of Tabletop Game Design? This is, yeah, the number one book, in my opinion, about board games. Anyway, back to the Twitter questions. This is very similar to what Elaine asked. What's your favourite subject outside of games? Favourite non-game centric podcast, if any, and favourite non-game centric documentary, if any? This was asked by Zoe Allred, and to this, my answer remains the same as what I previously answered, which was music. Favourite non-gaming centric podcast. I am going to go with, Conversations with People Who Hate Me by Dylan Marin. Conversations with People Who Hate Me. So in the first season, Dylan just finds people who left negative comments on their YouTube or stuff, reaches out to them and says, why did you write this? This feels quite hostile. This feels quite trolly. Why? And sometimes these people, you know, they come to some level of understanding. And then the second season is where it gets really interesting, because now Dylan is almost like a mediator between two different people who come together. Maybe there was some really hostile thing online, and then it's all about having two people who've maybe conversed via text or in a forum or something, and then normally it would just be people be people, you can't, but then you come to some level of understanding. Sometimes there's an apology, sometimes there's a changed opinion, sometimes there's someone who realizes, wow, I just hadn't and sometimes, nothing changes. It's real life. It's real people. And my favorite non-game centric documentary, I'm going to still go with The Corporation. And yeah. Next one. Do you ever experience imposter syndrome? Yes, 100%. I think that most people are going to have moments of, do I deserve to be doing this? Am I the right person? And yeah, will I ever be good enough to do this? Will I ever be the kind of, yeah, like when we're talking about in all aspects of life, like when I play music and on a Twitch stream, or when I talk about board games, it's like, who am I to be doing these things? But yeah, you have to power through. And if you are experiencing imposter syndrome, then please, yeah, just keep at with it, because it's probable that if you're experiencing that, you're probably pushing yourself. And even if you don't make the best thing that anyone could do, you're making the best thing that you could do because you care about it. And hopefully, eventually, you will continue to grow and you will continue to make better and better things. Fingers crossed. And Bones John said, yes, don't get the first edition paperback. As I said, the second edition, you can pre-order it for like 45, and then it's a little bit thing. But yeah, as I said, it is an expensive book. It's an academic book, but it's really, really good. Next question. That's basically the end of the questions. The only other question that I got asked on Twitter was, what is your address? So I can send you a box showing off the miracles of what the US is able to do when they combine sugar, salt, and fat. And that was asked by some fat kids. Yeah, that is their Twitter name, some fat kid. And that is the kind of question that I do not answer publicly. But, I talked to some fat kids on DM and I told them my address so that they could, and they are sending me a box full of stuff. And I am promising to, when I get this box, I am going to eat it and discuss all these sweets on stream. So you will be able to share in the surprise, delight, astonishment of all these weird US style treats. But yeah, that was answered privately. And so again, I do not answer everything publicly. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, 100%. It is very kind of them. And it all came from a conversation ages ago where there is a little bit of a backstory to that. I don't just send my address to whoever asks for it and says, hey, Bez, I want to send you a present. What's your address? But some fat kid basically was saying, oh, there's these crazy things. And I said, oh, I wish that I could get them. I don't know. Like, oh, maybe. And I think I said, they said, oh, this is horrible. And I said something like, well, if you send me stuff, then I promise to give a disinterested review of these things. And they said, well, that's it. Yeah, I've spent money on more ridiculous things before. So yeah, anyway, there was a bit of backstory, but yeah, I'm really excited for that. If anyone else has any questionably quick questions or any suggestions for future topics or anything, then feel free to ask. Otherwise, we've been going for a while, and I am going to now, at this point, start wrapping up. Have I played Similo? No, I have not. I started a 2-player game on Board Game Arena just to see what it's like. Yeah, I saw it was on Board Game Arena. I'll have a go of it. So I think, am I wrong? Or is it published by Gigamic in France? I feel like I saw the Gigamic crew playing it, but I might be thinking of a very similar looking game. Anyway, no, I have not played it. And I understand that it's good, and I do look forward to giving it a go. If you would like to give it a go with me on Board Game Arena afterwards, let me know. Anyway, over to you. What are you up to? You can share, but only if you want to. So is there anything that you want to share? Feel free to do so, but I promise I care. Anything that you're looking forward to, anything that you have to do, whether it's fun and frivolous or whether it's super serious. Today, I'm personally taking it easy. I actually had a date, which I was quite excited by. It's someone that I've been talking with for quite a few months. I think we might have even been talking for over a year, which kind of boggles my mind, but that's what, the pandemic and COVID, it's the times that we live in. And we were ready to meet up, but we hadn't been able to for a while. And then we were all ready to meet up today, and I was kind of excited about it, but then they got COVID yesterday, so that's, unfortunate. Instead, I'm probably going to have a chilled day. I'm going to try to lower my use of, screen time. I'm going to maybe, play some Board Game Arena, spend a bit of time on that, do a bit of reading, maybe. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talking about illustrating only for the purpose of the end result. I am going to be illustrating a new deck of cards. It's a first prototype. It's not going to be great illustrations. They're going to take like a couple of minutes each at most. But it's going to be a game about quickly drafting cards. It's very much inspired by Fantasy Realms, but I wanted a drafting mechanism where everyone could play at once because I'm an impatient type of game player. I like simultaneous actions. So in this game, everyone flips over cards, and then sometimes you say, okay, I'm taking that, but you can only take cards 3 times during the game. So you start off with 1 random card. The first time you take cards, you keep 3 total. The second time you take cards, you keep 5 total, and then the third time you take cards, you keep 7 total, and that's your final hand. So if you grab cards and there's more than 2 in the pile, then you could keep more than 2 of them and discard. You could keep 3 of them and then discard 1 of the cards that you'd already taken before. Conversely, you could just take the best 2 because those 2 fit you perfectly. And all the cards some of them are going to be simple to understand, like just plain numbers. Some of them are going to be, okay, you get points for all the eyes on the creatures because this is the spectacle maker or the monocle maker, I'm not sure. I'm going to try and start making a little world, and then the idea is at the end you'll have your own little 7 card little ecosystem. So maybe it'll be about plants and botany, or maybe it'll be fire and all elemental stuff, or maybe it'll be there'll be some cards that really anyway. And the only reason I'm making it is because I'm excited for the playtest tomorrow, because there's another playtest tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Juggeteer opens. What are you up to? Firstly, Bones John, thank you for the sympathies, who says, I'm gutted for you both that your date has terrain check. Thank you very much. Bones John says, my copies are by Horrible Guild, and yes, I'll play it with you on Board Game Arena. Cool. Are we friends? I will check you out. I assume that you're Bones John. I will hunt for you. Recap and wrap up before we finish up. Recap and wrap up. So let me go very quickly through all the questions. If you want a ticket on SpaceX flights into space, would you go? Yes. What song or album has brought a smile to your face this year? Lady Bree, Making a Move. What am I most looking forward to in 2022? Conventions in general. Also, if I manage to make Categorical, that moment when I'm getting the boxes and then they're all sent out. The end result. What's my comfort food? Instant noodles, Dema ramen. Do you think we'll ever see Eurogames acknowledge your colonialism and move away from it? I think it's already happening, and I think things will continue to improve. What's a story about a gift you were delighted to give? I love cooking, making stir fries, stews. Can you think of any games that are more enjoyable to lose than to win? I personally cannot, and I'm not sure that they exist, depending on your definitions of those words. What's your favourite dish? Chorishte bodem Joan. What would you be doing if you were not a game designer? Probably a musician. What's your favourite subject outside of games? Favourite non-game centric podcast, if any? And favourite non-game centric documentary, if any? Favourite subject is music. Favourite non-game centric podcast is Conversations with People Who Hate Me by Dylan Marin. Favourite non-game centric documentary is The Corporation. Do you ever experience imposter syndrome? Yes. What is your address? I'm not going to tell you, at least not publicly. There are some things I choose to keep private for all sorts of reasons. And yep, that is what we talked about today. And it was a delight to have all of you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here with such lovely chats and conversations. If you want to, I genuinely am interested in what you're up to. So let me know. And if you want to check me out, I am Stuff by Bez everywhere. Twitch.tv/StuffBez is where I stream. YouTube features all the old episodes. StuffByBez.com/Discord redirects you to my Discord channel. And there's StuffByBez.com/L, which redirects you to all those games. And Stuff by Bez and StuffByBez.bigcartel.com, where you can buy my stuff. And Twitter.com/StuffBez. And if you want to find me on Board Game Geek, I am Stuff by Bez. And if you want to find me on Board Game Arena, I am Stuff by Bez, but I do have spaces between the words, because if you can have spaces, I do have spaces. I do not use underscores or anything, but in a username, I will have spaces. And of course, stuffbybez.com/streams if you want to know what's coming up. Tomorrow I am going to talk about predictions for 2022. Monday, I'm going to have a very quick rant before I go do some personal stuff. Tuesday, I am going to have Adam Porter on. Adam Porter is a great designer and makes some lovely videos. We'll be just chatting and getting to know each other. And Wednesday, I don't know yet. Thursday, Dina Ramsey will be chatting about the day. And then, of course, every Friday is just a 5-minute thing. Share, spread the word if you want to. And once more, thank you, everyone. It has been lovely to have you. CD says, good night. Just got in, so finished driving. So sorry your dates got postponed too. Thank you. And I hope that you had a safe drive. And Yoda says, yes, that is a great book. 100% agreed. So, but thank you for listening, whether you were driving or making brunch or actively typing, whatever, or whether I was in the background or the foreground. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your life. Lots of love. And there is only one thing at this point that I can really say to you. Oh my gosh, hello, Panic. It is lovely to see you. It is ridiculously early over there, is it not? It's like 6:10 a.m., something like that. But I hope that you are well as well, of course. But yes, Bones, after this, maybe Bones and I understand it's better with more people, so if someone else wants to join us for a game of Similo on Board Game Arena, then that would be cool, maybe in 5-10 minutes. But yeah, maybe join my Discord and then we can do the voice chat over there. But for now, there's not much left to say, except for, of course, bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, and have a wonderful day, whatever you get up to. Lots of love. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Panic. Bye-bye, Yoda. Bye-bye, CD. And Bones Drawn and anyone else who wants to join. We'll be playing Simlo in a wee bit. Lots of love.